Hey everybody, it's Chris Thomas with the Thomas Group at Real Estate Go-To. Hope you're doing well. Hope school's off to a good start. A lot of changes have happened. I haven't sent you guys an email in quite a while. Sorry about that. But anyway, I wanted to address a couple things. First, I changed brokerages from Keller Williams, where I was for 15 plus years, over to Real Estate Go-To, which is a newer, smaller currently, although we are growing rapidly with really good agents, and I'm part of that, and it's been a blast. So anyway, but that does not take away from my day job, which is to help people buy and sell homes. And the main subject today of my video and what I've written down below here, if you just want to read what I'm going to tell you, you can do that as well. We have a huge change coming within the industry. Many of you have heard about it. I've talked to several of you about it. I wanted to put something out though so that people can kind of get a hold of what it really means and what the ins and outs are. So the main change is that when it comes to buyer agency, when you were represented by an agent on the buy side of a real estate transaction, you have to sign a buyer broker agreement. This has to do with commission. It has to do with who pays the commission. It has to do with how much the commission for the buyer agent is. It has to do with the National Association of Realtors settlement with the plaintiffs who sued the NAR as well as all these other real estate companies because basically they said, these plaintiffs said, that it was confusing as to who was paying the commission, okay? So, and part of that's our fault as realtors. For a long time, realtors will say things like, well, you can work with me as a buyer for free. You don't have to pay me because, the commission's already built into the deal. Now, the commission, for the most part, was built into the deal, but to say that the buyer's not paying is not really true because without a buyer, you have zero commission. So the seller's not paying a commission without a buyer, right? So it's really a shared cost, but the way that it was framed, I think, got us in trouble a little bit. And it confused people. People didn't know what a buyer agent was even making until they got to the settlement and they would see what the form says that the buyer agent was making. So this is about transparency, which is a good thing. We're all for transparency. So that agreement has to be filled out before you go and look at a house with an agent, before you go and look at the first house. Okay, so it's really going to change quite a bit of how we operate. So it's really incumbent on you if you're out there looking around, like if you're just looking online right now or you're visiting an open house or two and you're thinking about a move, go ahead and get in touch with me. Not because I'm going to be able to take you out tomorrow and you're going to be under contract, but mainly because we really have to prep for this. You have to get this agreement signed, and you don't want to do that with someone else if you don't plan to use them. And I hear stories about this all the time. Even though we're just now really adopting this form, there are people out there who are calling up the listing agent or think they are, and they show up and it's a Zillow agent sitting there, and they don't want to use the Zillow agent, but the Zillow agent is there in front of them, and the Zillow agent is going to have to say, you have to sign this form, And so why do you want to sign on with some random person that you don't even know if you're going to utilize real estate brokerage services? So call me sooner than later and let me know what your plans are, and and we'll start working on it. And again, it's not going to move your timeline up necessarily. I'm not a pressure guy, you know that, but it is going to get you on our radar as a brokerage because we have been very successful over the past several years of finding off-market properties for our buyers. And the big advantage to an off-market property is you're not going to be competing with other buyers for an off-market property. These are houses that are probably going to go on the market at some point soon, but they're not yet on the market for whatever reason. The seller prefers that, and so you show up and you don't have to compete. Now that doesn't mean you're going to get a steal every time, but we do have quite a few investment side ones as well if you're looking to invest. But as a typical home buyer, not having to compete in this environment is huge. So get in touch with me. Let's get that form filled out. And then we can get started as quickly or as slowly as you like, but you got to get the form filled out. So that's the big change. The second change is the MLS used to have a field where they would publish the cooperating commission in there, meaning the buyer agent commission that had already been established by the listing broker and the seller for the marketing of the property. So that field is going to go away. So that means buyer agents are basically going to be running around showing homes, not knowing A, if that seller and that listing broker are even offering a commission, B, how much the commission is, right? And so it's going to be a little bit confusing, but I've basically decided myself in terms of my own business, I'm here to show you the house that you want to see. We're going to work out the commission one way or the other. We can write it in. We can still write the commission into the deal. You may decide, I want to pay you directly, not directly to me, but to the brokerage. You can do that as well. We could work something out, some arrangement out there that may not even be a percentage. Okay, so there's all kinds of flexibility now, is what I kind of like about where we are. I think this removal is kind of stupid in some ways. It does not promote transparency, but ultimately, I think the goal of this is the Department of Justice and these plaintiffs want to see the real estate industry decouple, what's called decouple the commission. So they don't want the seller and the listing broker setting a commission rate for the buyer agent. Okay, that's what they don't want. So I think that's probably a good thing. I think it's up to the buyer and the buyer agent to meet and determine what that fee is going to be. And then there's all kinds of ways that fee can be paid, whether it's written into the deal or paid directly, like I said, from the buyer to the buyer's broker. So that's the gist of the changes. There's probably questions that you may have. I mean, if you're a potential seller, you're going to have questions. What about the commission? How does that change for me? That sort of thing. I'd love to talk to you about it. I have no issue just talking to you about it. Even if you're 6 months, a year out, thinking about selling down the line, whatever, just let me know and I can give you all the information I've got. I've been following it very closely for several years. So you know how to reach me, 502-533-5894. I'd love to hear from you. I've pretty much summarized all this stuff down in print below in this email, so you can read that and kind of refer back to it. But get in touch and let's talk. And like I said, I hope you're doing well and the school is off to a great start. Bye-bye.